Hi there, Claudia Chinevere, stepmom coach. I just wanted to take a moment to say hi. It's been a while since I did any live broadcasting. Also, I just, did a few posts for my last and thought, well, I'd like to share what I wrote today because a lot of people responded and commented about what I wrote. And so the post is finding your own way to being a stepmom. And, think of it this way. There's so much information out there, and some information is really good, but some of it isn't. And so you may be asking, okay, so what would I know about being a stepmom, right? Well, apart from being a stepmom for 26 years, so my personal life experience is there, I also spent a lot of years studying and working with other stepmoms. So it doesn't mean that I'm an expert in everything, but I do know that after working with many stepmoms and studying it and talking with other experts, I feel comfortable in being able to share. Now, whatever I share doesn't mean that it's necessarily to you. So we all have like people we like to work with or like their knowledge. And that's fine. That's okay. So one of the things that, I shared is, and I gave this little story where, imagine this stepmom, we'll call her Natalie for the heck of it, marries this guy who we'll call Dan. And, she sees Dan as a great spouse, a great partner, and he has kids. He has two teenage kids. And she feels like, hey, I can do this. I love kids. I've always loved kids. I was great at being a counselor at camp. I play with all my nephews and nieces. And these are stories I hear a lot about stepmom saying, I love kids. I love being with kids. The problem is that as soon as you get married or you move in together and start to play the role of an adult parent or adult figure in these stepkids' life, all of a sudden it's they're not happy. They're like, why do I need to listen to this person? So it's really hard for Natalie to understand and to comprehend. So all of a sudden she's trying to talk with Dan and say, hey, Dan, listen, this isn't working. Your kids are not respecting me. They don't want me here. And Dan says, well, no, it's your fault. You're not engaging with them. You don't like kids. And you're like, what? I don't get it. And here you are as a stepmom wanting to fit in, wanting to be a part of this family, but it seems like everybody else is looking at you and saying, no, you're the outsider, you're the stranger. You have to change everything to fit in. We're not going to change. And it's really difficult to try to merge in, right? And I love the word merging rather than blending. I see that step families merging because you're always carrying a part of your history, a part of your original family, your upbringing, the way of coming together and creating this new entity, which I call the step family. And so you're merging values, you're merging principles, you're merging different approaches to coming together. And if you think of a business, we've seen mergers being very successful and some mergers not successful at all in business. And the reason for it is that, it takes a lot of negotiation to come together. So back to trying to, having Natalie fit in and dancing, it's all her fault. Well, the thing is, it's not just one person's fault. Whatever you're in, there's two people. So, it's easy to point the finger at another person and saying, no, this is all your fault. You're not, playing the game of being involved in this relationship. So, unfortunately, it happens more often than not, and it's not a lot of fun, and definitely not a lot of fun. So, one of the things that, in this case, in the story I shared, was that Natalie decided to, well, I'm going to get information. I'm going to do some research. I'm going to go on social media. I'm going to join all kinds of groups. I'm going to ask all kinds of information, get all kinds of help. I'm going to ask my family, what how they're going to help. Unfortunately, a lot of times, unless you're one of the stepmoms whose parents were stepkids or step parents, so you have a little bit of an understanding. But if I look at myself, I wasn't a stepchild. My parents were married until my father passed away, so I did not live in a step family dynamics, and neither did my husband. And so asking my family for advice or support was like not a good idea. And I know a lot of stepmoms go through the same thing, where they're asking family for advice and suggestions, and a lot of times what they get is conflicting or confrontational advice, which is not helpful. And so you're doing research, you're reading, and all of this is really good, except that after a while it gets overwhelming because there's so much information, and you need to know what fits in for me, right? Because one of the things is that each family, although there's similarities and issues and complexities and in dealing with exes or kids or the stepkids or bringing in another child and merging your family, there's always some uniqueness to whatever you're dealing with. And so it gets really hard and frustrating. So, and you feel like you're not knowing where to go. So eventually, what happens is that you lose hope. You lose hope in trying to figure out, will this ever come together? Will we ever be a real family? And, I like that. I want to go a little bit deeper into what it means to be a real family. We have this image, whether it's via social media or TV or whatever, of what a real family is. Truth is, a family is defined by what you define a family. There is no set stone of what a family is. And one of the things that comes to mind is, when I look at groups, if you think of churches, people who go to church, they will often look at the church group as their family. If you look at sports, men who are playing in football or soccer or women playing in a sport of volleyball or soccer or whatever, they see themselves as a family. The Olympics are on at this moment, and if you think of the young gymnastics, the group, I think they call them the group of five, these young girls, they feel they interact as if they were sisters, as a family, because they're already always together. So how you define family, you need to define what family means to you. You can't let other people define family. I think that's the first place to start by defining what you see as a family. So, there's as I said, there's a lot of different advice out there, a lot of people sharing different things. But I want to give you 3 tips to help you to, find your own way to being a stepmom. And the first one is, don't force it. By that I mean, like, don't try to come together to create this image of a family before everybody's ready to do it. You know, there's this saying where you can't fit a square peg in a round hole, right? It's really hard. If you did want to do it, the one thing you would need to do is either make the square smaller or the hole bigger so that it would fit in. Now, it doesn't mean that you need to compromise everything as a stepmom, as a woman, as a person in order to fit in. But there needs to be a dialogue about what does it look like if we were to be a family, what would that look like? And you know, when I work with stepmoms, that's one of the questions I ask when we work together is describe to me what an ideal family life or an ideal family day would look like for you. And it's not perfect, but a day where you would feel like, wow, this is has brought me so much joy. I'm happy. The other thing to realize is that, you know, in like anything in life, it's not always going to be this way. And it's a good thing, because what happens is if you were always happy, you would not eventually appreciate it as much. So the good times are there because there's bad times. And it helps us to compare and contrast, even though I know people hate to compare and contrast. But it helps us to understand that, you know, when we have bad days, we also have good days. That's why we have rain and we have sunshine. That's why we have night and day. We need those contrasts in order to understand what the other is. Now, you know, as you create your family, as you create an image of, you know, what a family you want your family to look like, those ups and downs, those roller coaster moments will slowly flatten out. And I don't mean flat, but I mean they'll be more like hills. They won't be so dramatic in their ups and downs. And because you'll understand your way of working together, of fitting in, and you'll understand your secret family code and message. And I think that's what makes a family so special and unique, is that you understand each other and you know what makes everybody tick. And sometimes, unfortunately, because you know what makes people tick, it can also backfire where people will get upset at you. But again, you learn how to deal with it and you learn how to navigate through those ups and downs. The second thing I want to suggest in helping you to find your own way in being a stepmom is trust your inner calling. Meaning, like, you know, you have an intuitive idea of what needs to be done at home or how you would like things to go. And oftentimes we don't trust our inner feeling or inner gut, and we rely on everybody else to tell us what to do. And then we get so upset, so mixed up. And so, you know, you're telling someone, hey, listen, this isn't working. You know, this is like really messy. You know, how you will over protect your kids and your ex-wife, but then when it comes to me, you're not there to protect me or to stand up for me, and that doesn't feel right. And so if someone answers you, no, it's all in your head, then you need to have a conversation in about, you know, minimizing what you're feeling. And so those are kinds of conversations that sometimes are really hard to get to, and they're not easy, because, you know, this is talking about who you are as a person. And sometimes we feel defensive and we're like, whoa, I don't want you to think that, you know, I'm not, that what I'm thinking here is skewed. So trust your intuition, trust your gut. You know, yes, get some advice, get some information, but bottom line, you know, you have that little intuition that will help you. If it makes sense in your family, if it makes sense in your life, if it fits, what you want to do as part of your plan in your family, then go for it. But if you feel like, yeah, no, I don't think this will fit if I tell my stepkids that, to do whatever they want, I don't want to have anything to do. Maybe that's, you need to do that. But if you feel that's not the way you want to approach it, and that's fine. Or maybe that is the way you want to approach it and say, no, I can't spend any time with my stepkids right now because I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need a break. I need to spend time to, just recuperate from everything. And that's fine. Okay. Just let people know that you need time for you in order to regroup and think about what it is you need in this relationship. Then the third piece in finding your own way in being a stepmom is seek inspiration. And, there's so much out there about um, bad parenting, about bad stepmoms and bad family dynamics, that sometimes it's hard to see inspiration and motivation in what's going, in family dynamics. But I know it's there. And, find some quotes. I send out quotes to my Facebook page and my Twitter page on my social media. And the reason for it is it's a way of focusing on what's working rather than focusing on what's not. And so this is a way of seeking inspiration, not only in how to be a good parent or a good step parent, or a good stepmom, but in how to be a good person ourselves. And so, motivational quotes is a good place to start. Seek a good friend who you admire, or a person that you admire in their way of being as a stepmom, if that's what you're seeking, or in interacting with teenagers or their kids. And look at what it is that you like, or you feel like, wow, I really appreciate how this person is treating their kids, or how the kids are interacting. Um, when I was a teenager, like all teenagers, I was seeking, like, having like a grandmother figure in my life. My grandparents were there, but they weren't the warm and fuzzy type of people, and so, which is fine. I mean, this is who they were, but I really wanted, like, the warm and fuzzy grandma figure. And so I actually spent one entire summer at my neighbor, who was, for me, the kind of grandmother I was looking to have in my life. And I learned so much from this person. She showed me, ways of being a mom, being a grandmother, of interacting with her kids and grandkids. And today, when I look at my own grandkids and my kids, my stepdaughters and my son, there are elements of what I learned from her that I put into my family. For example, having a meal and having conversations and talking and having laughing was something that we did when I was with her, and she always had time for her kids. She always had time for her grandkids, no matter what was happening. And so for me, that was an important lesson that I learned. And I learned other pieces, like watching, observing other people, how they would parent and be step parents and be grandparents. You pick pieces of what you admire in other people and replace that in your life. Even if you never had what you were hoping to have, like, as modeling, you can always, with social media today and in television and things, look for what is positive and model those behaviors so that you can give it back into your family. So I hope this was helpful for you. There's so much I could talk about, and I'll try to do a little bit more videos because I really enjoy doing them and helping you out. Now, if you have any questions or if you have comments, I'd love for you to comment below and, just share what you think. And I invite you also to subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. If you think this was a good message or you enjoyed what you heard, share it with your friends and your family and have them join this episode. So hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye.